Hey guys, if you still like us after listening to this podcast, do us a favor. Go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes and maybe tell a friend because we're a pretty new show and that helps us. That helps little dudes like us make it in this big old world. So yeah, thank you again for listening and have a good day, night.
Wait, what am I supposed to say now? Wait, what am I supposed to say now? Right. Okay, yeah. Like we've been podcasting for 1 year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
What's up, y'all? We've been podcasting for one calendar year.
Whole year.
On the Gregorian calendar.
Wow, wow, wow. The sun has done a thing in space.
The Earth has rotated a certain number of times.
And we have talked into microphones.
In the year that we've been podcasting, the live show's changed a lot.
Oh, yeah.
If you've been to a live show, you know we typically have done it in apartments. Usually mine, or we'd be hosted by people like in their backyards. And now... are in Wicker Park in a theater, which is very nice.
People over the age of 50 have come to our show.
And not hated it.
And
which
not
is
hated it.
pretty fun.
I was once politely asked to put my shirt back on in a church car wash.
I canceled a Planned Parenthood appointment the other day because I was farting too much.
My dad still can't hear any of this.
I taught my parents how to listen to Serial, and now every day I live in fear that they'll listen to this.
They probably have
They
already.
have. My mom told me.
Oh, no. Your mom's heard me say that. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Maybe. I don't know what she's listened to.
I'm so scared of your mom.
Me too. I guess we should explain. So, if this is your first time listening to the We Still Like You podcast, you picked a really good episode to listen to. We normally have a theme, and this time we're like, fuck that. We're just going to pick a few of our favorites that we've never aired before.
Yeah. So you guys ready to get this thing started?
This first guy coming to the stage.
He's a little troublemaker.
He's a little garbage baby.
Please welcome my friend and yours, Bobby Condon. How's it going? When you're 6 years old, you're all in. You don't know about religion. It's a magical time. Until 1992, when I got caught by my mom jerking off. And I was laying on the floor. I wasn't even on the couch. I didn't have the decency to sit on the couch. I was laying on the floor and just jerking off, and my mom walked in. She's like, oh, you know. She did not handle it well. She gasped, closed the door, and then came back in with my dad. And she's like, what you're doing is bad. It's something that only your father should do. Like she said. And then she was at a loss of words on how to explain it any further than that, other than it was just a bad thing. So she's like, we're gonna look it up in the encyclopedia. Not the dictionary, the encyclopedia. So I had to go get the M book from the encyclopedia, and go figure, it's not in there. So I just felt like a real shitty little boy. I never did not know how to jerk off. I always knew how to jerk off for as long as I can remember. I was like a dolphin. I just came out, I knew how to swim. I can't remember not jerking off ever. Take care, those are my earliest memories. Jerking off the whole fucking time. Everyone's laying in a cot. They got some rug over me, and I'm jerking off. The people could see. I know I wasn't as discreet as I thought I was. I was always jerking off, and I was a young boy. And then, pretty soon after that, I'm Catholic. I don't know if any of you are Catholic. But I had to go to confession. You get your first confession. It's a big deal. We lined up outside the priest's room to go do confession, our first confession, which is a rite, evidently, And R-I-T-E. It's not a right. Wait. And everyone was in there. They went in and out. And I went in. By the way, there's no screen in confession like in the movies. I just had to sit across from this pedophile and tell him about how I jerked off. For 30 minutes I told him about how I jerked off. I sat face to fucking face. It was a chair and another chair, and I looked them in the eyes and told them about how I jerked off. Someone had to knock on the door to get me out. They knocked on the door. I came out crying. You know, the worst part about Catholicism is, you know, I didn't have any brothers and sisters, so when I went to church, I didn't have anyone to play with. I just listened to what they said. Very scary. And I was sure that I would go to hell for jerking off. I was also sure that I would not stop. I could not stop. I knew it was bad, I knew I would continue, and I knew I would go to hell for eternity. So my only plan was that right before I would have to know when I die, so that I could say a quick prayer to God and ask Him to forgive me. I prayed every single night for God to forgive me for jerking off from the age of 6 years old until 29 years old. So that was 1992. Nirvana came out with that Nevermind album, was great. And then in 1995, Kurt Cobain was dead. I had read about cum. I knew that it caused AIDS. I had misinterpreted the film Philadelphia. I didn't know. I thought that if a man ingested another man's cum, then ingesting man had AIDS. That's just how it worked. I thought I could give myself AIDS if I ate my own cum. So for a year, I was trying really hard not to ingest my own cum, so I wouldn't get fucking AIDS. I was a dumb kid. It was very rough for me because, again, I was not going to stop jerking off. I couldn't stop. But now every session was like a potential second-degree homicide, you know? So I used to only do it in the shower and then pray for a year. So I come from a confession culture. You know, like, we confess everything. Real Catholics. Unlike you fuckers. And, okay. Don't worry. So for a year, I was living thinking that every time I jerked off, I could potentially kill myself, my dad, my uncle, my friend, everyone I know. Used up all the bottles of Tilex. Why are you using so much Tilex, Bobby? I'm sorry, Mom. So, I had this, when I felt like I had done something wrong, I couldn't go to sleep unless I told my mom about it. I could not fall asleep. It felt like all the blood in my body was rushing to my heart, and I couldn't go to sleep until I told her. And finally, one day we were on vacation in South Carolina, and we were in a hotel room, and it was like midnight, and we were sleeping on separate beds, of course. And I couldn't fall asleep because it had become too much. I thought I had caused too many people AIDS. And I had a lot of PTSD from the confession and from my mom catching me jerking off while I was watching Capitol Critters, so it was tough for me to speak to her. But it was dark, I couldn't sleep, and after a while I was like, Mom. She go, what? I'm like, all right. You know when I do that thing, when people do that thing? I'm like, she's like, what thing? And I'm like, the thing where you touch yourself and it feels good. It's like jerking off. Like, yeah, that, Mom. The stuff that comes out when you do that thing. It's like, you mean your cum? Yeah, my cum. Yes, my cum. I thought that was a swear word, but yes, that. If someone like gets that in their body, do they get AIDS? And she's like, what the fuck do you mean? I'm like, well, and this was the actual situation I presented to her, I don't know why. It's like, if I did cum on the dresser there, and some guy went, would he have AIDS? And she's like, no. You can't give yourself AIDS, and you can't give another man AIDS unless you have AIDS, and you don't have AIDS. Good night. I've never slept better sleep in my entire life. Yeah, but it was too late. I got sex ed in high school. I didn't. Yeah, not till high school.
So that was our good friend Bobby Condon.
Up next is another good friend of ours, comedian Nick Rouley.
Oh, what a sweetheart. Also a dirtbag.
This episode of We Still Like You is funded in part by microfunding through Art and Activism, a campus-wide program at Columbia College Chicago supporting student projects that expand beyond the classroom. Thank you, daddies. Daddy, 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 daddy. We've had a bunch of incredible performers and stories over the past couple years, and today we're going to listen to 3 stories that are pretty recent, but we just haven't been able to share them yet, so we're just lumping them in as part of our podcast anniversary episode.
Podcast anniversary episode.
Nick Rouley was one of the comics who did our 2-year live anniversary show, and his story is about having dirtbag friends who accidentally meet your regular friends via the power of social media. We had a little bit of help from comedian and podcaster Tim Barnes on this story because there's a word that is it's a pretty bad word that gets said.
Awesome. Does everybody have beers? You all got your beers? We all good? We all good? We all ready? Keep this show going? Awesome. Give it up right now for Nick Rouley.
Guys, keep it going for Shannon and all of the producers of this show. 2 years have I glued my pussy shut stories. That is a beautiful thing. I actually got I still am a little bit very nervous about telling this story tonight because it took me like a lot of thought to figure out what I wanted to tell tonight. And then when I came up with one, it is actually I don't like it. It's something that happened that I'm not proud of, but that's what the show is for, so I'll tell a story that is just for this show tonight. When I was a kid, I got really into skateboarding, and skateboarding was awesome because that it was a gateway to a bunch of other things, like punk rock and art, and like all of this really like shit that I still carry with me today as things that are very important to me. The unfortunate thing with those specific little like subcultures is there are just some bad little boys and girls that float around in those scenes. I was drawn to that. I don't know if this is true for everyone, but I think, at least with the circle I run in, at some point in a lot of our lives, you're drawn to hanging out with really bad kids. I grew up in kind of like an upper middle class. My mom and dad were prom king and queen together, never drank. Like they're still married. Like it was a very like safe, nice household. So like the more fucked up a friend's household was, maybe that was like the more I wanted to hang out there. Just get a taste of the bad side. And the story that I'm inevitably going to get to here is about hanging out with bad people way too long and realizing you need to cut that shit out. I was immediately drawn to some very, very bad kids. Like before I was even a teenager, I had a knife held to my throat one time for throwing a snowball at Cruz Rodriguez. So, like, I was hanging out with some fucking dangerous kids. All of us, I think, have friends where, like, an incident will come up at some point in your life and you're like, oh, this happened, so we aren't friends anymore. Like, I don't dislike you, but I can't be associated with you anymore because I don't know what will happen next. And the worst kid of all, I'm gonna say this dude's name because I don't give a shit. He'll be proud that I told this story. There was a kid I was friends with, we grew up together out in Crystal Lake, Illinois, named Dane Menon. This is Police Blotter from the Daily Herald. This is from 2010. I'm just gonna read it for you word for word. Dane M. Menon, 25, of the 16,000 block of Pennsylvania Court, Crystal Lake, was arrested at 1:19 a.m. Thursday on a disorderly conduct charge after dropping his pants while standing on the bar at Rookies, 2486 Bushwood Drive, Elgin, report said. He told the police, "This is America," when asked about his motive. Menon is due on court July 2nd. So you understand the kind of savage I'm talking about now. Dane is a bad person. Dane has always been a bad person. He was like the G.G. Allen of your friends. You were terrified. Like, you might honestly get his shit on you at some point. That is the kind of dude Dane was. He was terrifying, but that's what made him fun to hang out with as a high schooler. Dane is now covered in a bunch of tattoos, but one of the best ones is on his ass. He has the word poo with an arrow that goes straight to his asshole. And it is super crooked because the dude giving it to him was in his kitchen doing bong rips of opium while administering the tattoo. When we were 19, he bought a house up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin with some other dudes. He jumped through a window at one point, is covered in blood. As girls are trying to convince him to go to the hospital, he's getting in an argument with some dudes who showed up at his apartment that he's trying to kick out. A gun went off. But he also, shitheads like that have this magical luck. There was another time when we were 21, we were partying in the city for the weekend. He came in to visit. We went to go, I was staying, even though I lived down here, I went to stay at a buddy's place for the weekend just so we could party around the clock for the entire weekend. Dane came to the city of Chicago with $10. He couldn't withdraw anything from his bank account, $10. That Friday, we went to Jewel to get like a 30-pack of Old Style. Dane bought a $10 scratch-off lottery ticket. He won $500 and paid for drinks all weekend long. Dane is a maniac. But it's that kind of luck that makes you be like, okay, I kind of want to party with this dude. All right. Here's I'm gonna get a little help with this part of my story. Guys, please welcome back to the stage Tim. Tim, please give him a round of applause. Thanks, buddy. I'm about to turn 32 next month, my wife as well. We've been married a little over 3 years, but we started dating when we were 16, so this year we will have been together half of our lives. Yes. When we got engaged, it was like probably 5-6 years ago. We got engaged. What is that sandwich shop over on Division? They've got like a million sandwiches. What is it? Jerry's. Yes, we got engaged at Jerry's. I proposed to her totally unexpected that day. We went there, I didn't plan on engaging, but I ate a buffalo chicken sandwich that was so good. Midway through it, I was like, baby, life rules, let's get married. It's been long enough. So, we get engaged. Facebook is around at this time. I don't know how many of you have gone through, updating your relationship statuses. But the way it works, if I try to ask Tim to say that we are engaged together, that announcement is not going live until Tim confirms it. I did this immediately. I changed my status right away. I don't even think about it. My wife has always been cool as shit. She's like, I don't give a fuck about Facebook. I never want to sign into that shit. So that doesn't go live for a while. I do this on like a Tuesday. She signs into Facebook Friday, like after work or whatever, approves it, it goes live. I don't look at Facebook the entire weekend. I'm at a great time in my life where I don't have to do that shit. Monday morning, I sign into the website, I log in, and it says I have like 400 some notifications. This has never happened before, it has never happened since. I am like, what the fuck is going on? This is crazy. I click it, and I immediately see just like all the numbers go to this. So many people have liked your engagement announcement. So many people have left comment. There's like 200 some likes, over 100 comments of people saying, hey, great job. So happy for you. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm gonna read through these. I click on all of the comments. 2 minutes after that engagement announcement was posted, the very first comment is from Dane Menon. It says, you are a all capital letters. You are a come on. Unbelievable. Everyone I know on Facebook, girls I have not talked to since grade school, see my engagement announcement and see that word attached to it. I immediately delete the comment and block Dane. Because I know if I delete it and don't block him, he's gonna say something even worse. That is the nature of Dane. Haven't talked to him since. It's been like 5 years since I have talked to Dane, because I just don't see him. I blocked him and all that. Now here's the one last little detail of this story. My roommate at the time, who I was in a band with, I mentioned to him what happened that day when I come home from work and see him. I go, Ryan, did you see what was on my Facebook engagement announcement? And he goes, oh yeah, I saw that on Saturday. That was pretty crazy, huh? It's like, you didn't think to tell me? I'm one room over, and you don't think to come over and go, oh hey, the worst word ever, hate speech, just posted all over your engagement photo. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, guys.
We still like you!
The last I had talked to Dane, he was a butcher at Walmart.
Cool. Give that guy knives. Cool.
Also, I'll give you one last little tidbit. The last time I saw Dane, his bedroom was in a house where you had to walk through a girl's bedroom to get to his. Like, the door to the second room, you had to go through another room. And I was drinking beers with him on his couch, and the girl came home from work, and she goes, Dane, what was happening last night? What was going on? He goes, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. She goes, you kicked my door open violently with another girl, or with the girl who was topless, went into your room, and for the next 3 hours, I heard beers cracking, you laughing, and super wet slapping noises. So I can only imagine Dane has continued down that path.
I feel like that's an open and shut case as to what happened here. Back corner right there. What's up?
Our next story comes from both of our favorite comedians.
Oh my gosh.
A true treasure.
Just
Kristin Toomey.
Yeah, a real Chicago treasure.
She's absolutely hilarious. So we've now been podcasting for a year. There used to be a lot of debauchery at the apartment show after parties. Like, I remember our friend Dale fell off a roof.
Oh, that's right.
Someone stole a picture out of Dan's bathroom and replaced it with a framed photo of JonBenet Ramsey. And we still don't know who did it.
We still don't know who did it.
Still at large. Have you got a favorite story from the show ever? Do you have a number one story?
I really like Kyle Scanlon's story.
I was thinking about that one.
Yeah, that one's one of my favorites.
All of this, at this point, I still think I'm just pulled off a really good prank. And then all of a sudden, I hear a lot of crying. Because she is calling her mother to tell her that she has AIDS. Then calls her fiance and tells him that she probably has AIDS.
It's so bad. You just gotta listen to the story.
You can find that on a previous episode called We Still Like Pranks. It's really good. I think my favorite story, Kyle is in the running, is from our friend Becky. I believe we still shouldn't use her last name, but our friend Becky, who wrote a story as a child.
I'll be reading from my first novel.
In which she learns about the civil rights movement after being very skeptical about it.
Martin Luther King Jr. is at it again.
Yeah, it's real funny. I think that's in the one called We Still Like White Guilt.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really great story. You should check that one out if you haven't already. This story is one of the craziest we've ever had, so we're real excited to present to you a story from Kristin Toomey.
It's a little bit heavier than some of the other stories we've put up, but it's still really amazing.
That's saying something.
Yeah.
This next story is a bonus, and I love you. See, so there's a really nice one for... I prefer the mean one.
Are you guys ready for our last performer of the night? Awesome. She is a producer of the awesome show Comedians You Should Know. Give it up right now for Kristin Toomey!
This is great. This is great. Real fun. Thought it was going to be 4 people. Shit. Okay. So, doing stand-up, a lot of times awkward things happen while you're on stage, right? Like, you have to be real careful about what time you eat so you don't shit or be shitting when they call your name. It's like you've got to plan that out. One time I asked a guy if he was on heroin. but he was blind. One time I insisted a woman in the front row clap, and I was not going to continue until she clapped. She had a stump. Okay, so I'm the asshole. Things like that happen all the time, right? I'm gonna tell you about a specific time that things got weird on stage. I have 2 kids, and I almost had 3. I was on stage at the Laugh Factory here in Chicago in front of 300 people. And I didn't know I was pregnant. And I used to watch that show. I didn't know I was pregnant. And I used to think, you dumb fucking bitches. How do you not know you're pregnant? You know you're pregnant. So I was waiting to go up and felt something weird. But they called my name, so I had to go up. So I get up there and I feel a little like weird. I feel a little lightheaded. And I start like doing this shit and something's happening. There's something happening here. And it feels like it could be an alien or a slinky. I don't know. But something is happening. So I had a dress on that was floor length, and so I just sold it for 15 more minutes. Well, I held in what I didn't know. It could have been my uterus. I didn't know what was happening. And then I finished, and I just, thank you. Yeah. And then I got in my car, and I drove back to the suburbs. That's the worst part, I know. And I got home, and I went into the bathroom, because that's where you go. So I sat on the toilet, and I got it. And I'm looking at it, and I rinsed it off. I'm like, well, you probably had 3 eyes. And frankly, I don't want a ramp in front of my house, so, fucks up the curb appeal, you know what I mean? You can have ramps all over who wants a ramp? Nobody wants a ramp. You deal with a ramp, you don't choose a ramp, okay. So, I'm looking at it, and then I'm like, well, I guess I gotta flush my dead baby. I don't know. What am I gonna do? Take it out back and bury it like a fucking cat? I don't know. But while I was sitting there holding it, my husband was asleep, right? And I was like, well, should I wake him up? Well, he's got to work in the morning. And I'm like, oh, you're going to be that dumb cunt? You're going to be that fucking twat that's like, oh, my husband has to work in the morning. I guess I'll just flush our fucking baby down the toilet so I don't upset him. Stupid twat. Well, he works so hard. Why upset him? Why ruin his day tomorrow? I'm just gonna flush this fucking baby down the toilet and make him a lunch. So I went the goldfish route and I flushed it. That's what I did. So I did end up telling him. And he did the dishes. Yes! Which was great. 12 years, he's never done the dishes. All I had to do was flush our dead baby down the fucking toilet. Here I am giving blowjobs like a goddamn idiot. All right, thank you, that's it.
Holy shit, keep it going for Kristin Toomey, everybody. Oh my God.
I'm not trying to get pregnant, we're not trying to have any more kids. And I was fine with it. I was like, it wasn't meant to be, whatever. But my body was like, oh no, you have to be sad. So I went into like a deep postpartum sort of hormonal depression. And I just started coming out of that when I switched my medication. And so it's been like 6 months of just like fucking craziness out of it, even though I didn't want. Yeah, so that happened in June and it was on a Saturday. And then on Monday I went to an open mic and tried to talk about it, which was a horrible mistake. But if I didn't talk about, for the comics in the room, for everyone else, sorry if this is boring, but I talked about it because I knew if I didn't talk about it then I would never be able to talk about it. And then I left it, and now 6 months later, and this is the third time I'm talking about it in public. So.
Yeah! That's what the show's all about.
Yeah, so thank you.
That was our episode. That was a random collection of our recent favorites for the 1 year anniversary podcast. 1 year
anniversary of the podcast.
Thanks so much for making this happen by listening to the podcast, you guys. We really appreciate it. He also doesn't know I'm going to do this, but we should give a special thanks to Jesse Batin and Sam Haas. Because this podcast wouldn't have happened unless Jesse was like, hey, do you want to make a podcast? And we're like, sure, but we don't know anything.
we don't know anything, and we're scared.
And he's like, that's okay. I know a lot of things, and I'm a brave boy. Those are his words. So
his words exactly.
So we have to thank those guys. And if you ever see them at a live show, give them a big hug.
So this is the 1 year of our podcast, but we've got 2 years worth of shows. Jesse's been recording for so long. So we've got so much more to come. So please keep listening, because it's only going to get worse better.
And if you get a chance to come see a live show, we'd love to meet a new face. So come hang out with us.
Come shake our hand.
We Still Like You is produced by Dan Sheehan, Danny Gallegos, Tyler Snodgrass, Shannon Knoll, and J. Michael Osborne, who is also our resident live artist. In Los Angeles, it is produced by Andy Sell.
The podcast is produced by Jesse Patend, engineered by Jesse Patend and Sam Haas. Our theme song is Specific People by Jake Tobin. Big thanks to all the people who've housed our live shows at various undisclosed locations around Chicago, and to you, the listener, for being there.
If you'd like to know more about where you can watch We Still Like You or submit to be on We Still Like You, please check out our website, which is westilllikeyou.com, and also you can find us on Facebook.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.